Welcome to Talking in Stations. It's Madero. I'm here with Grigorin, who's silent right now because I think he's in the fleet. And we have a Patreon guest, Nick Bison. How you doing, Nick?
Good day. Thank you for having me on.
Sure. So have a seat, relax. We're going to go through some news, and later we'll be back to talk about some of the stuff that you do in EVE Online. Okay. First, let's go to the war, since the big events in the war today. We're going to call this Delve War 2020, just to be fair to everybody. Get out of the meme business, which would be nice. But Papi online to Kepstar in QY1. This is a hard one to say, but it's right here. That's actually not the right one. Neither is that. Let me find my way back to my notes here. Okay, let's take it from the top. Papi online to Kepstar in QY1. I believe that is in Aquarius. Let's actually take a look at that. I did want to look at that. And we'll see why it's important. First of all, them QY1, not Q1, in Aquarius is a bit of a bottleneck. It's let's see if I can make that. It's right outside of Delve, and it is. Let's see if we can look at it on the world map. I think let's get a better idea of why it's geographically important. Let's see. It should be right outside of Delve. How did I lose that? If you right click on these, they'll let you follow the link in the map. I thought there was a global way of seeing it. No, just on the map, which will bring me right back here, I think. Yeah.
Trying not to interrupt, but that from that location, the super ranges into Delve cover a good chunk of it.
Yeah, but it, thank you. Yeah, and let's take a look at that. Why don't we? So super capital, all systems. This will light up the map in a way that allows me to see inside Aquarius and Delve. There's what I wanted to see. That actually helps. Thanks. So the green dot in the middle, I'm not sure you could see that. Let me zoom in for you. You can see it kind of cuts off Delve from this whole southern area, which is all of period basis, you see. And that's what I wanted to say. It took me a second to find that footing, but this essentially is a gateway. You can see it's also a very long jump, the regional gate in purple, right next to another regional gate. So this is weird, but that's actually Aquarius right there. These little systems here are actually Aquarius, but it looks like it's part of period basis. And that system is important for accessing period basis. So it is a very much strategic choke point. So here's the other Kepstar right here, T5Z. They're within jump range of each other, so you can move back and forth. And this allows you to control period basis below, and also to have some influence in Delve. I wouldn't say control because, you know, two people are competing for it right now. I'll get you back to that map. There's a little more of a regional view here. You can see there's the Aquarius, period basis, and Delve. So from that Kepstar, I hit a lot of Delve, but you also control the flow of subcaps and everything going into period basis. Okay. So that's an important Kepstar to put down today. And as they put that down and onlined it, they had the opportunity to attempt a hit on 1DQ, which they decided to do. So it wasn't in the plans, but I'll just read this note here. After it online, fleets went to 1DQ to attack the iHub and the Sino Jammer, and that's plural, Sino Jammers, because there's one that's active, but there's multiple in the system, a total of 3. And the 3, you have basically 2 backup systems, so if they destroy a Sino Jammer, you can turn on another one, but it takes 5 minutes. That window of 5 minutes, if somebody is prepared, is big enough for them to get ships in and the backups are actually easier to kill. So there's a lot of risk to having multiple ones there. They're kind of expensive. Imperium, though, was scrambling. They weren't expecting this, I suppose. They scrambled and were able to repel Papi forces in their system. We'll take a little bit of a view of that battle as it happened this morning. We did some live coverage with Sully, who was able to get into system and start showing us the combat as it went on and commentate. I'm going to go ahead and speed this up so we can see more of it in less time.
Yeah, one of the things that 1DQ has that no other system that I know of has is that its iHub is on grid within range of it's the old outpost Fortizar that used to be the 1DQ outpost. So that can be used to defend the iHub, and if the iHub gets removed, it can't be re-anchored there.
Oh, because it's grandfathered in?
Yeah.
Interesting. So yeah, you can see this is a bombing run here that you're looking at, or just after a bombing run. I'm going to back up because that was the most interesting part of it for me. But you can see here, there's a bunch of bombs being launched. We should zoom in there. I think we can. I don't know if you can see them right here, but the bombers were destroyed before the bombs actually exploded. So that was an interesting anti-bomber move that worked out. Here you can see over on the right-hand side, they're shooting the Sino jammer at the time. They gave up on the iHub pretty early on. So I'll go ahead and put this link inside of here. This is live footage we took earlier today. It's about an hour-and-a-half battle with some commentary on what was going on by myself and Sully. But the good news for the Imperium was that it was successful defense of their 1DQ iHub, which was great, and also the Sino jammers. Nothing was taken. They defended it completely. Now, what was this about us? This wasn't a headshot. I don't know if you saw this on Reddit, but there was some news about it being, they were trying to do a headshot. But I think it was more of a opportunity, so they went after it as an opportunity. But what would you say to that narrative about it being a headshot? Because you wrote something here. Gregorian? Okay, I'll just read it because I think he's in the middle of a fleet. So, Horde tests out new siege fleet doctrine. That ping leaked to Reddit in the wasn't a serious headshot attempt post, which we've seen, with heavy interdiction cruisers instead of hacks in order to counter super capitals. But ultimately, Papi decided that reinforcing some of the 1DQ isn't worth having to be there for hours, and therefore losing the Kepstar armor timer a while later. Okay, so that makes sense. So whatever they pinged early on was a way of getting people into the fleet. That ended up being, if it was the original plan, it ended up changing. Because right now, in HIX, we'll go there now, and this is in period basis, HIX, there is a Kepstar that belongs to the Imperium that is being reinforced into its timer, its armor timer. And this is usually when the big battles happen. You don't want to try to save a Kepstar when it is in the hull timer, because if you lose, you're going to find yourself floating in space without any citadel to protect you. But the armor timer still gives you tether and a lot of advantages. So this is usually when you have the defense fleets for a structure on the armor timer. And this one is uncontested. Why is that? Well, there's an iHub change that happened 30 days ago, which was what belonged to Imperium, but then it was traded over to Papi. They took over that system, and when they took it over, they put down their iHub. Their iHub matured enough to be able to put down Sino jammers. Those jammers are now up, and so the Imperium is jammed out of the system, which means they cannot escalate properly with super capitals or capital ships. They would have to go through gates, which is extremely dangerous. So essentially, they have taken over the system. They've cornered it. They've built a fence around it, and now they're destroying the structures inside of that system. And that is why this Keepstar is undefended. And so what they were saying, and it is also behind enemy lines, of course, as Arya says, because period basis is now considered test territory. As you can see, it's completely taken over. Although there is the Sancha have something to say about it over here in the green area there. That's a sign for an incursion happening in that area. So that is going to go on with not contested. That means the Keepstar in that system will probably be destroyed in the next couple days. And so what we were saying earlier is that instead of trying to go for a headshot and going all in on 1DQ earlier today, they decided that they didn't want to complicate it and get into a large extended fight that would overlap with this objective. So I think what happened is they probably decided this is not the right time for this 1DQ attack. That's probably what happened. There's only, so the Keepstar is at 52%, so it will be it will actually pass this timer, but there is a single gunner there, but no fleet and no harassing force to even make it hard. That's what's going on there, according to Billy. Okay, in other news, Kenora Metropolis. Snuff takes out multiple Winter Coalition jump freighters, reportedly with a bait Freeport Citadel that pulled them from the ACL, which is access. Oh my God, access control list. I think that's what it is. That doesn't sound right when I say it, but I think that's what it is.
That's what it is.
Thank you. Access control list. So what that means is they put down a Fortizar and they say open to public. That's why it's a free port. And then when you light your Sino, they actually pull that list and say, nope, nobody can dock here. But by then you've already jumped. And when you jump, you find that you are not able to dock and you are a prime target. And so that's the trick of a Freeport Citadel. I have fallen victim to it myself. And this was a giant payday, 116 billion plus. That's 4 freighters from looks like Worlds Alliance.
Yeah, it looks like one corp in Lord of the Worlds, Cruiser's crew, and what appears to be an alt corp.
Yeah, so there's probably one guy moving a ton of logistics. Remember, Nullsec needs to trade now. They need to use jump freighters to import things. And also they need to use jump freighters to export to the market from their area. But this is the kind of opportunity that the stratification of minerals will create. Nullsec won't be able to have everything they need in Nullsec. They will have to import things. And you will see they don't want to do it every week, so they're going to do it all at once with multiple freighters, and this is probably the kind of thing you're seeing here. Multiple freighters, jump freighters, fall victim to a trap. They all die at once. Big payday, 116 billion. So didn't even take them very much. It's literally 1 or 2 guys that destroyed all that. So that's Kenora Metropolis. Metropolis is very, very dangerous, not just because Snuff's in the area, but you also have Ivana Trading Company, and they also are very good at this sort of thing. Let's move over to Catch. And this is a big score for the Initiative and Friends. I believe it's... I had this one pulled out.
Tactical Supremacy. They're an Australian alliance.
That's right. This was a massive victory, but it was very lopsided to begin with. 93% efficiency because the Dread Bomb didn't get counter-attacked. So it went to work on 3 super capitals. And they took out 2 Hells and 1 Nyx. From Siberian Squad, they are a part of Legacy. Total bill, again, 105 billion to Siberian Squad. So tactical supremacy, who are simple farmers? I've seen them a lot. They were definitely fighting in Delve, or at least a little bit.
They are an alliance which traditionally does stuff like the Stain Russians are known for doing in Esoteria, but in Catch, with lots of gate camps and
Mm-hmm. And
other things like that, and dropping citadels just to troll the locals who live there.
yeah, I see there are Russians here too. I'm taking a good look at what's going on with Russians these days. I think these are stained Russians, but the Afterlife, you'll remember them from World War B, I believe, or actually they lived up north at one time. We've seen a lot of. Oh, here's Tactical Supremacy. We've seen a lot of. What's that group? Here it is. Farada Victrix. They're actually very active. I don't see AAA in here, though. I was looking for AAA. Let's look at the top. Yeah, they're not in this one. It's too bad. I'm hoping for a AAA comeback. They were also a Russian alliance, mostly Russian, but they had an American contingent. Okay, so that was a big score for initiative, and they're just getting started out there. So Siberian Squad feeling the additional dreads of initiative, along with the Russians there. And our last story today is Great Wildlands. Red Alert. You'll remember them from Pravi Block. They were essentially the militia for Pravi. And they were formed of Apocalypse Now and Total Eclipse and Sorry in Advance. Those were the main groups. And they've headed out to Great Wildlands after Pravi fell apart. You remember CVA went up north to Syndicate to work with Snuff. And they're still up there. But the other parts of Pravi Block, this Red Alert, actually broke in half or disintegrated.
They had an internal issue with one of the alliances, 2 maidens, 1 challenge left.
Yeah. And right, and they had the main FC for Red Alert, so it was a significant
John
break.
Ball.
Yes. So these guys went to Great Wildlands, and I believe they were trying to do NRDS again out there. That was the idea.
Yeah, they are.
Which is pretty cool. It's a good place to do it. Great Wildlands. If you don't know Great Wildlands, let's actually take a look at Great Wildlands. Okay, there's a better way to it. It's over here next to Minmatar Space. It's basically, it used to be what it sounds like, hunting grounds for Minmatar. You'll see that it's actually NPC based, right? So it's an entire region that nobody can really own. You can live in it, you can put structures up, but you can't get Sov there, which also means you can't build super capitals there or anything like that. But it is supposed to be like a roamer's paradise. You can see there's lots of pipes to gate camp, but there's also areas where you can run around gate camps, and it's also a place where people go to first try to get into PvP. Small groups will go there to try to live there. There have been multiple wars over it, but the wars have always been very interesting since you can't own it. There have been different incentives, so you'll see groups like Ebola a while ago just wanted to come in and dominate everybody, and all those groups got together to resist Ebola and actually won. So it was very good to see the little guy group up and beat the big guy. That happened, I think, about 2 years ago. It was under the shadow of 2018's massive wars that were going on. But Great Wildlands, again, a place where you can go and start your career, basically. And it's nice to see they want to make it NRDS, because that means not red, don't shoot, which means if somebody encounters you in space, the default is not to destroy you. It's to let you do whatever you're doing. But that takes a police force to kind of enforce that, so that takes some time. And this is this is bigger than Providence, so it would be quite a task to do that. So okay, that's the background on Great Wildlands and Red Alert. But what's going on there, Gregorian?
Well, some of the Wrecking Crew alliances which did not join the wartime standings list, which particularly didn't want that Sov anyway, and Dread Bomb.
Yeah. That's
have deployed up to fight them.
Why are they going after Red Alert?
Because it's content that's not affiliated with a big block and likely to result in a tie-dye fight, I guess.
But a Wrecking Crew came into Providence and basically attacked them and used tactics that are used with large coalitions. In other words, dropping super capitals and outmatching they had too much firepower for Providence to really keep up without Providence trying to do the same thing and then losing. So they ended up breaking Providence, Provi block, and in fact inherited it. And so this is them, Wrecking Crew, kind of chasing Provi into the Great Wildlands. And what do they expect to do out there? Just have some fun, or?
I guess so. I wasn't involved with that decision. I joined some RC fleets, but I haven't joined any of these.
Well, we'll keep our eye on this, because it seems like, NRDS trying to grow again under the umbrella of Red Alert, and it would be interesting to see that philosophy back in the game. It's kind of an old tradition, but their pursuit.
The big thing. Yeah, one thing I think that a lot of people don't really understand about what happened to Providence is that for the past year or so, a lot of alliances joined Wrecking Crew, which actually wanted to live in Providence, and that was the thing that really changed things and forced Provi block out. That some of the alliances they were fighting actually wanted to live there rather than just kill stuff there.
Yeah.
But not, though, two alliances that are deployed against Red Alert.
That's interesting. So the people that wanted to live in Provi are still in Provi. They're not on this deployment.
Right.
Yeah.
The Rogue Consortium, Hardly Competent, and a few others.
Yeah. That's who. I think Rogue Consortium was actually part of Provi block. They didn't like the management and switched sides. And there are several groups that did that.
Coalition Hispania was a Provi block holder alliance that switched sides to stay where they in their little pocket of Providence.
Yeah. All right, that's cool. And that's the news summary. Wanted to do a quick one today since we did broadcast live. But before we go, I want to talk to one of our. Well, I'm thinking of doing this, having a Patreon highlight. Some people who support us are very interesting players, and I think they recognize the effort that Talking In Station puts in, and that's why they back us and help us out. But they themselves, in their own right, are very interesting players. One of those guys is Nick Bison, who's here with me. How are you doing, Nick?
I'm here, so I'm the guinea pig this time.
Yeah, nice. We're going to start with you, since you're always a supportive fan out there. I'll bring up your history here so I can look at what's going on. But why don't you tell us about your EVE career and how you started out?
Actually, that's 2007. A nephew of mine goes, "Hey, Uncle, check this out." And I looked over his shoulder and I went, "That's kind of cool. Let me give it a shot." So I did, and it got hooked probably in the first 4 minutes. Just the complexity of it, I just grabbed me. And I'm like, wait a minute. I mean, you got to log in order to change your skills, or you fall behind or not, kind of your choice. Alarm clocking to get in. And I just, started out small and slow, like most people do in EVE. Poking my way around, ran what tutorials. Well, there was no tutorials. So basically ran around, did some missions here and there, and kind of found things I like to do.
Yeah.
And that's how it started.
And that was what year again?
That was 07, in June of 07, with my first character. If you're looking up Nick, he didn't start until September. Originally started out as a hauling alt, was why I made the second account. And he got really good at hauling, and then I thought, gee, he needs to shoot more things. And he started shooting more things, and it kind of got good to me. So that's kind of how that happened. And the little corps I was in decided we're going to go out to drone lands. I don't think any of us had been playing 6 months at that point. So we loaded up a bunch of Iteron 3s because that's all we had, and head out to drone lands for a while. That was my first taste of null toward the end of 2007, early 2008.
Wow. So that was new territory. And
Iron still owned. Iron was the big guy in that area. Trader John, if I remember right, was the alliance leader or the guy that we talked to the most. They were busy fighting Bob. And so they gave us all the cool jobs, like go camp LXQ and don't let anybody in. So we'd head out there and maybe 1 or 2 battleships, 3 or 4 thoraxes, and do our best till we got blown off the gate. And it was like, all right, we'll try it again tomorrow.
I heard that about the old days, that a group like Bob, only 4 corporations, but a corporation, at least in Bob, could take on a whole duty themselves. In other words, one corporation was left to defend Fountain and from the north, let's say. And at that point, because of the way people grouped up, a corporation could be big and strong enough to do that. Of course, the game was a lot smaller back then, less actual combatants, and definitely a lot less technical overhead, right? But it was interesting that small groups were said, here's your mission, go and do it while we do this other stuff. I like that idea. Now it's like...
we were, like I said, we were a little tiny group. I mean, we maybe had 30, 40 heartbeats at the most. And, we could, on the average, get, 7, 8 people out there to camp that gate for a while. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. It took us another month till we had somebody who had the skills to anchor a bubble.
Yeah, I love that. So then what would you consider your highlight in your career if you look back on EVE Online? When were you playing the game and feeling like you were being the most successful at it?
Oh gosh, that's kind of 2 different things come to mind immediately. My time in CO2, obviously people probably heard me rant about that repeatedly. Just a hell of a lot of fun, because it didn't matter if it was like, all right, they got 200, we got 120, we're taking the fight. We would take fights that were not always advisable, but it's like, hey, they're in our space, or we're out doing a roam, take whatever shows up and deal with it. That was a heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah. So CO2 is Circle of Two, for those who don't know, is an alliance that was very heavily PvP oriented.
Yeah, and getting blown out of Tribute was not the most fun. Moved down south with Test and Brave, and we ended up in Impasse. And that didn't end well. But stuff happens. The other probably highlight, and I know this sounds really weird, is after we got lost. I'm being polite here.
Yeah.
When we lost Impasse, the evacuation and how the Alliance organized and helped the rest of the people, get out. Here's where your stuff's going to go to. If you asset safety, go here. We're going to anchor stuff that is going to be, directly on an Insta from the undock. So you can, so if they camp it, we can still get out. And then the movement north, back up north, they just did a tremendous amount of work. And I think that was, despite losing your space, which always sucks, just the way the Alliance dealt with that was rather impressive.
Yeah. So Nick, thanks for supporting TIS, and thanks for coming by today and giving us a little bit of your story. There's definitely a lot more to you, But it's neat to get those origin stories and highlights. Who are you going for in this war between Pappy and Goonswarm? Do you have a dog in the... I don't know if I should finish that thought. What do they call it? A dog in the race?
Dog in the fight. I don't have any characters on either side. Historically, I mean, I've got a little bit of bad blood both ways. I mean, obviously, not a Goon fan. Everybody knows that. Got a little bit of ill will toward Test because of just how the whole impasse thing went down. But the Test, everybody I've ever flown with from Test has always been some solid individuals. So I've enjoyed the heck out of them. So, change is good indeed, man.
That's right. Words to live by. All right. Thanks again. That is Nick Bison, one of our big and great supporters for Talking in Stations. All you guys owe him a big thanks for keeping us going. He's part of the incentivizing crew. So thanks again, Nick. Really appreciate you. And thanks, Gregorian, for helping out. And thank all of you for coming around today. I wasn't supposed to stream today, but I had some time. But we'll be back tomorrow and all week. And we'll look forward to more Eve news then. Again, if you want to look for our TIS, I call it a newspaper inside of games, so you can get the news every day delivered to your mailbox. I'll give you a little way of getting some instructional set here. You can see it here in chat. I'm about to put it in here. So that's how you get our in-game newspaper. Thanks, everyone. We will see you next time, and I will raid you over to someone else in just a second.